Good noontime to all of you, and I hope you're enjoying your lunch. I am more than delighted to be with all of you. Since day one, President Obama and all of us in his administration have been committed to creating jobs, helping American business compete, and building the 21st century infrastructure that the next generation demands. At the same time, we've also worked to be good stewards of the environment, making our cars, planes, trains more efficient, and building the kind of infrastructure that gives people greater transportation options. We've made livability a reality in communities across America, making it easier for people to catch a train, hop on a bus, or ride a bike. In the process, we're helping to revitalize the cores of our city. And I must tell you this. Last weekend here in Washington, it was Cherry Blossom Weekend. And Washington, D.C. has one of the largest bike share programs in the country. And every bike in Washington, in the bike share program, was being used. And it was a great, great weekend. I've been all over America, and I've seen progress firsthand, from Dubuque, where we gave a Tiger grant, where IBM moved 1,500 people into the community. And I asked the IBM CEO, why Dubuque? And he said to me, because it's one of the most livable communities in America. Or to Denver, where the former mayor, who's now governor, and I inaugurated a bike share program. New Brunswick or New Orleans. Our transportation investments are creating jobs and encouraging private investment. We have invested in more than 350 miles of new rail and bus rapid transit systems all across America. Through our Tiger program, we've provided $3.1 billion for the most innovative solutions to our transportation needs. Our Tiger program a new iteration of Tiger, the 5th year, will be announced here very soon, $478 million. And what Tiger allows mayors and communities and stakeholders and innovators to do is to come to DOT and use innovative, creative approaches to transportation. You don't have to go to your governor. You don't have to go to your state legislator. You can come directly to DOT. Our Tiger program has been very successful. We have funded many, many different modes of transportation. We've broken ground on streetcars in cities across the country, in Atlanta, Salt Lake City, Tucson, just to name a few. Streetcars are taking off in America. And we've invested in 21st century rail, the next generation of transportation. I have traveled all over the world looking at high-speed rail. And the one common denominator in every country that I went to, 18 countries, and many of you have been to these countries, in Asia and Europe, the common denominator for high-speed rail is the investment of the national government. Under this administration, in just 4 years, we've invested $12 billion. That's 12 billion times more than has ever been invested in passenger rail in America. High-speed rail is coming to America, folks. We will not be dissuaded by our detractors. We are moving forward. California has been planning for high-speed rail now for 10 years. They'll have a train going from San Francisco to San Diego, 200 miles an hour with stops along the way. And there'll be transit and light rail and buses connecting people so they can get on the trains. In Illinois, a train going 110 miles per hour from Chicago to St. Louis with 4 or 5 stops. And on the Northeast Corridor, over $3 billion worth of investments. Not to get trains faster, but comfortable, on time, and at a cost that people can afford. That's what America wants. They want alternatives. We can't build very many more roads or interstates, but we can offer alternatives to Americans. And every one of these modes of transportation carries the label Made in America, and we have insisted on that. When I went to those 18 countries, what I said to folks, come to America, invest in American infrastructure, invest in high-speed rail, hire American workers, take a shuttered plant and turn it into a rail production plant. And we have investors in America doing that. Our strict Buy America requirements ensure that rail projects, from trains and tracks to new stations, are built with Americans and American-made parts and supplies. Buy America creates and supports good-paying jobs that benefit hardworking families and the American economy. We will always insist on that. That's the only way we put friends and neighbors to work. Construction materials for our new rail projects are coming from railway supply facilities in 49 states. That's good for our workers, good for our travelers, and good for the country's economy. Through everything we do, we have got an eye on the future. We're promoting advanced technologies that help reduce fuel costs and carbon emissions. Under President Obama's leadership, we're making our cars and trucks more efficient. One of the first executive orders that the President signed within 30 days of his first election was the standard that he asked Lisa Jackson at the EPA and myself to set, and by 2025, cars and light trucks in America will get 54.5 miles per gallon. Every car and every light truck. And all the car manufacturers have agreed to that. And on the day that the President announced that a few months ago, every car manufacturer was standing with him. This is what America will look like. This is what our cars will do. This is what happens when you have leadership. Through our NextGen initiative, NextGen is the next technology to guide planes in and out of airports, to save jet fuel, and to make flying even safer than it is today. We're streamlining our airways and making aviation greener. NextGen will be a cleaner way for planes to fly around America. Last August, airplanes approaching the Washington D.C. area started using new satellite routes, and they immediately began to save fuel and reduce emissions. The new routes into D.C. will save an estimated 760,000 gallons of jet fuel in the first year, and that's like taking 1,500 cars off the road of Metro D.C. every year. And that's an achievement we're very proud of. We're also building our infrastructure in a stronger and smarter way so that extreme storms like Hurricane Sandy don't devastate our transportation systems. We have insisted that rather than rebuilding our critical infrastructure time and time again, we will have a more resilient standard. We have insisted on that. So when we build transit systems, when we build bus lines, when we build roads, when we build bridges, the standard will be better than the one that existed. We know there'll be another Sandy, and we don't want to happen to our transit and our bus lines and our roads and our bridges what happened. And a new resilient standard will prevent that from happening. And this is a good first step. And it will help us save tax dollars over the long term while also protecting our transportation systems against rising sea levels and extreme weather events. But our commitment to more fuel-efficient transportation networks doesn't end there. Last week, President Obama laid out a big, bold vision for how we can invest in things we need to grow our economy, create jobs, and strengthen the middle class. The President's 2014 budget funds critical investments in our nation's infrastructure, furthers our promise to deliver 21st century transportation, and continues our commitment to safety. The President is proposing $77 billion for the Department of Transportation and $50 billion for an immediate investment to support infrastructure projects such as improving America's roads, bridges, transit systems, border crossings, railways, and runways. His budget proposal includes a bold rail reauthorization that provides $40 billion over 5 years for rail projects across the U.S., a national investment in rail. Altogether, these proposals will help us create jobs, American jobs, continue the rebirth of America's manufacturing, and invest in 21st century transportation that businesses need to compete. America was built on big ideas and bold action, like the Transcontinental Railroad, the Erie Canal, and the interstate highway system. We became the greatest country in the world because generations before us had the courage and the foresight to invest in a better future. And that's where President Obama wants to take us in the future. We have a duty to invest in a modern transportation network that'll create jobs, American jobs, encourage business to expand and help us compete in the global economy. And at the same time, we have a duty to be good stewards. And that's what all of you are, good stewards of the environment. And that's what President Obama is. And that's what he's instructed us to do. We must invest in projects and technology that help us reduce fuel use and carbon emissions. We owe no less to our children and grandchildren, and I'm grateful for what all of you do, day in and day out, year in and year out. And you have full partners at DOT and in this administration led by President Obama. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for including me in your program today.